Assalamu alaikum. Starting with the name of Allah, who is the most interesting topic is fundamental rights. The content of my topic is fundamental rights in Pakistan Constitution of 1973. Fundamental rights are Supreme Article 8, right to life and liberty, prohibition of slavery and forced labor, dignity of man and privacy of home, basic freedoms, religious freedom, and safeguards, and also property rights, guarantees of equality and non-discrimination, preservation of culture, addition of articles 32 to 38. Firstly, we know that what is fundamental rights? Fundamental rights are the basic rights of the citizens. According to the Constitution of Pakistan, all citizens are equal before law and are entitled to equal protection of law. Article 8 to 28 of the Constitution deals with all the fundamental rights provided to the citizen of Pakistan. Fundamental rights in Pakistan. Article 8, or also known as Supreme Article, laws inconsistent with or in derogation of fundamental rights to be avoided. The state shall not make any law which takes away or abridges the rights so conferred, and any law made in contravention of this clause shall to the extent of such contravention be avoided. Right to life and liberty, Article 9, 10, 12, and 13. The first point is that safeguard as to arrest and detention, security of person. No person shall be deprived of life or liberty save in accordance with law. No person who is arrested shall be detained in custody without being informed as soon as may be of the grounds for such arrest, nor shall he be denied to the right of consult and be defended by a legal practitioner of his choice. And the third point is for an offence by a penalty greater than or of a kind different from the penalty prescribed by law for that offence at the time the offence was committed. And the last point is protection against double punishment and self-incrimination shall, when accused of an offence, be compelled to be a witness against himself. Prohibition of slavery and forced labor, Article 11. Article 11 of the Constitution, adopted in 1973 and amended in 2015, includes the following provisions. The first point is slavery is non existent and forbidden, and no law shall permit or facilitate its introduction into Pakistan in any form. The second point is all forms of forced labor and traffic in human beings are prohibited. And the third and the last point is no child under 14 can work in a factory or a mine or any other hazardous employment exception prisoners and any duty for public service required by law. But compulsory service cannot be cruel or incompatible with human dignity. Dignity of man and privacy of home, Article 14. Article 14 of the Constitution confirms that the dignity of man and subject to law the privacy of home shall be inviolable. As a fundamental constitution rights, the right to privacy is meant to take precedence precedence over any other inconsistent provisions of domestic law. Police or any other state agency can enter a home only after obtaining lawful authority in writing naming person and purpose of entry, example, arrest or recovery of stolen goods. Basic freedoms, Article 15 to 19. Article 15, freedom of movement. It means that every citizen of Pakistan have right to move and settle at any part of the country. Freedom of assembly. Every citizen shall have the right to assemble peacefully and without arms, subject to any reasonable restrictions imposed by law in the interest of public orders. Freedom of association. Every citizen shall have the right to form associations or unions subject to any reasonable restrictions imposed by law in the interest of sovereignty or integrity of Pakistan, public order or morality. Freedom of trade, business, or profession. The carrying on by the federal government or a provisional government or by a corporation controlled by any such government of any trade, business, industry, or service to the exclusion, complete or partial of other persons. Freedom of speech. Every citizen shall have the right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom to the press, subject to any reasonable restrictions imposed by law in the interest of the glory of Islam or the integrity, security, or defense of Pakistan or any part. Freedom of religion. Every religious denomination and every sect thereof shall have the right to establish, maintain, and manage its religious institutions. No person shall be compelled to pay any special tax, the proceeds of which are to be spent on the propagation or maintenance of any religion other than his own. In respect of any religious institution, there shall be no discrimination against any community in the granting of exemption or concession in relation to taxation. Religious freedom and safeguard. Article 20 to 22. Safeguard against taxation for purpose of any particular religion. No person shall be compelled to pay any special tax, the proceeds of which are to be spent on the propagation or maintenance of any religion other than his own. Safeguards as to educational institutions in respect of religion, etc. No citizen shall be denied admission to any educational institution receiving aid from public revenues on the ground only of race, religion, caste, or place of birth. Property rights. Article 23. Provision as to property. Every citizen shall have the right to acquire, hold, and dispose of property in any part of Pakistan, subject to the Constitution and any reasonable restrictions imposed by law in the public interest. Article 24. Protection of property rights. No person shall be deprived of his property save in accordance with law, the adequacy or otherwise of any compensation provided for by any such law or is referred in this article. So determination or determined in pursuance thereof shall not be called in question in any court. Guarantees of equality and non-discrimination. Article 25 to 27. No citizen otherwise qualified for appointing in the service of Pakistan shall be discriminated against in respect of any such appointment on the ground only of race, religious, caste, gender, residence, or place of birth. Nothing in clause shall prevent any provisional government or any local or other authority in a province from prescribing in relation to any post or class of service under that government or authority conditions as to residence in the province for a period not exceeding 3 years prior to appointment. Guarantees of equality and non-discrimination. Article 25 to 27. On April 19, 2010, the 18th Amendment of the Constitution of Pakistan granted free and compulsory education for all 5 to 16-year-old as a fundamental right. Article 25. Denial of a fundamental right to education compromises the life of a child that affects his adulthood and life chances. Non-discrimination in respect to access to public places. In respect of access to public of places, entertainment or resort not intended for religious purposes only, there shall be no discrimination against any citizen on the ground only of race, life, caste, gender, residence, or place of birth. Preservation of culture. Article 28. Every citizen have right to preservation of language, script, and culture. Subject to Article 251, any section of citizens having a distinct language, script, or culture, shall have the right to preserve and promote the same and subject to law. Establish institutions for that purpose. Addition of Article 32 to 38 in Fundamental Rights. Article 32. Special representation shall be given to women in local government institutions. Article 34. Steps shall be taken to ensure full participation of women in all spheres of national life. Article 35. The state shall protect marriage, the family, the mother, and the child. Article 37E. Make sure women are not employed in vocations unsuited to their gender and that working women get maternity benefits. Article 38A. Sure well-being of the people irrespective of gender. Article 38D. Provide basic necessities of life irrespective of gender. Article 8 to Article 28 of the 1973 Constitution describe the fundamental rights which are to be available to all citizens, women as well as men. But these restrictions can be challenged in the superior courts. See what to do if your rights have been violated. The executive is bound to implement these rights, while the judiciary is bound to take notice of any violation and provide redress or individual complaints or take notice of its own, called suo motu notice, of any gross violation of a collective right.